Happy to be here. Happy to be here. I don't know
Awesome,
what's
awesome.
going on, but let's wing it.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to really, I was like, I've been thinking over the course of like a few weeks almost, like, and finally it was like this Sunday where I was, just thinking about all the things that I personally wanted to do, just kind of within my personal roadmap, but knowing how it was relative to just everyone, as well. And then, I know we've had the listening room and we've been really developing our community and just facilitating that conversation and about just what's going on, all these awesome projects and functions rather that come with these projects. And I don't even like saying projects. These really just layers of value that are added to the ecosystem, and that's something that I've really been really pondering on just within my own personal journey of like whatever I want to do that's, I want to do to add value, and so with I know I have a lot of ideas about what I want to do with just personally, and one of those was I know Sessions, has a catalyst proposal for one of these, and it's just a simple, streaming a player, music player for one's music that one's releasing, kind of tied into the wallets and you know just in that same vein, I know that a lot of people are kind of asking a lot of not just like us, within like the community of musicians and artists are asking questions, but I even know like just um, the people who are our most coveted like supporters and fans want to know like what's next, like what like do you guys have this, what do I have all these great ideas that they're sharing that are definitely in alignment with I know my ideas and roadmap of kind of how I want to continue moving forward. And though I feel this like lack of almost like knowing like what's really going on and like what maybe like session like what I know I've talked about a player, but I know that you've got a catalyst proposal. I know with New M, that's you guys are really leading the way with what you guys are doing for all of us as well, and then with also just Cardano Sounds with in terms of that back end whole library and what that entails. And I just want to just gain some type of semblance. I know personally, I was thinking this, and then I think like, oh, I didn't like snap, but I was just like, you know what, I can't handle this anymore, because I know I don't want to like waste time in what I'm doing when I know that ones can tap into what we already have as a community to like, and also in so doing, support each other's like, efforts and projects in us adding our value to the community as opposed to like trying to do it alone when it's like and compete against each other, when we can all still have that understanding. It's like, okay, we have our projects, this is what we're all working on, this is and or like do you need help and or there's certain pieces that with you all, Ryan, like you I know you all got so much covered, but then there might be certain like nuances, right? Like that maybe you guys have planned moving forward in your roadmap that you want to add to, features of your platform to where it's like, okay, that's not focused on right now, but maybe someone else or another project has a big stronghold on that piece. And it's like, can we integrate and adapt and figure out how we can all come together and work with each other? So this was just my beginning of some type of, reaching out to everyone so that we can all have an understanding so that we can better help support each other. And in doing that, like, we can answer the questions of our community members that are asking like what's next, and how can we support you guys even further. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Justin, I think it's good that we kind of all come together, at least so we can have some open dialogue so everybody kind of knows what's going on with everybody's stuff. Side note, this is going live right now. I just tweeted this out, so if y'all want to retweet the YouTube link, I think it would be good. We can have folks, they can ask some questions in the chat, and just so in the spirit of Ada being really open about everything, it'd be nice to have this out for everybody to just see all the dialogue going on and be able to ask us questions, etc., etc. So, I don't know about you all, but for me personally, I'm in a I'm in a silo right now, because we have so much going on, right? Like, I think last time I checked, I just had a talk today with a project manager. I think we're at like 26 people now working. So I have more than enough to keep me busy on a daily basis, and it's so hard to know what else people in this community are doing in reference to music. So I mean, for me, I would love it if we can kind of go around and everybody kind of give a quick spiel about what you're actually doing right now, and just so we can kind of all know. That's just my ask if we can.
Yeah, I can start for Cardinal Sounds. So yeah, I like started quite early with CNFTs, but I got into crypto because I wanted to build. So I went too deep into every aspect of everything. So yeah, I like built quite complicated build system or like drop system where the sounds are actually put together and uploaded before the mint. So it's not like it's pre-generated 10K collection, but it's all put together. Also like players are like websites uploaded on Arweave. That's also like done all together. So that was like my first thing. I got deep there and started more exploring, also like doing music with algorithms and all of this fun. So yeah, I got really deep into that. So I started thinking about the platform for it, and it kind of grew. And yeah, I went. I knew I don't really want to run a business now, like for next 10 years or something. That didn't seem like what I want to do. So I started exploring decentralization, and after a while, I got together with guys from ADAO. So that's a huge help because we have basically common goal. Cardinal Sounds is supposed to be open source and non-profit DAO, basically. So it's basically the same system as ADAO. So that's great for me that I have a lot of help there, building the governance part. And what is the main kind of utility of the protocol is like decentralized sound library, and that mean like not really only music, but any kind of sound, like voice recordings or whatever. And so when you have any sound as NFT, you will just lock it into smart contract, and other people can just use it to create their own NFTs, and you get paid royalties if they are used, basically. So that's kind of how can people kind of collaborate together in trustless manner. Musicians, or any kind of sound engineers, when they have like very unique sound and things, they can just share it and upload it there, and possibly get some payment from that, because like there are other cool artists who do visuals, and they could probably put it together and just yeah. So that's kind of main thing. I like built a lot of things and technically figured out a lot of things. UX design was a bottleneck for me, but I finally got the guy I wanted for like half a year, and he started working on it just like yesterday or something. So I hope it will be soon kind of layered out and whole platform on the next level. And I'm also like went through Bluetooth Pioneers, and now I also started again looking into smart contracts so I can prepare the version 1. But I also have Riley from ADAO, who is actively developing smart contracts with also like Liquid and Meld, and he has not Meld, the M Labs, he has support there. So yeah, so I consulted my my ideas with him, and it seems all going fine. And so yeah, that's kind of what Cardinal sounds supposed to be. For that protocol, I also need like a lot of minting tools and combining that together. And I think there is where the open source should really kind of stand out, because in the community, open source music tools community is like great. There is so much funny tools that are just like enjoyable to use for a user and to create with it, and it doesn't really even need to be musician or whatsoever. So I hope that's what I would like to kind of also have on the platform, and free for people to implement. So that will be probably like tools represented with NFTs, so it can be also voted on and added trustlessly. So yeah, that's kind of main idea there. And yeah, but like main goal is to get it decentralized so it can become whatsoever. So
So I used to be a teacher, and I think there's a lot of people in the community that just don't quite necessarily know some of the ins and outs of the music realm and what all that means. So I just want to take a second to just recap for everybody that just heard. It was a lot of information you just threw out there. I just want to point out one thing for everybody. There's something called sound libraries that you can buy as a musician that are like, they literally take a mic, they put it in front of some piece of sound and they record it, they capture it, they map it to a MIDI map, and then they package it in groups and they sell them to the tune. Like if you're Spitfire Audio, they're like selling them for like $500 for a library. There's a lot of labor that goes into that of the equipment to record the sounds and stuff like that. DZ, so in my mind, I'm hearing you would potentially like to do some decentralized sound libraries and have those audio maps, right, to where with the smart contract that when those actual audio files are played, you can calculate the amount of time that they're played, and then you can calculate out.
Not it won't be like per streaming or something. It won't be actually for creating. You are giving like ability to other person to use it to create their own NFT, right? So if you give their sound, they can combine it with their NFT, which has only video, and to make another NFT that basically references both, but also like creates the new media. And like my main storage, like where I'm looking at this RV, because that's like only thing how to store permanently and kind of decentralized way. So I also already chatted with George, who is founder of Bundler, which is a service that provides payments in different cryptocurrencies for RV uploads. So I hope to get like ADA sorted soon, so I can offer basically those uploads on the platform. So that's kind of my step. But yeah, I'm actively working towards and looking if I can even help make that happen. So
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Dalton, you're in my top right-hand corner, man.
That's a Roadhouse reference. Who here caught that? Anyhow, the name's Dalton. Yeah, man, real quick, I'm really glad that, Juice put this all together basically, and Ryan offered to host, and this Bob Piece, obviously. But I don't, where are my words? I just found them. I don't have much to say except that I'm a musician. I'm based here in Los Angeles. I've been playing music, doing this, for quite some time. And that's pretty much it. Like I tend to be pretty cautious about things. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why, but I just am, so, I'm not quick to like jump at a new idea. I like to take my time and consider it, right? Like with anything or whatever. So, but yeah, I think there's a lot of bright minds and beautiful people, and, my DMs is always open, and got to hear Ryan play the piano. That was beautiful. So, I got to go practice my stuff too, but yeah, I don't got nothing to say. If anybody wants to know nothing, I'm around, and I really believe like a high tide rises all ships. So that's my mentality, and I stick to that. That's
Hey
Oh,
all.
Bob, did you want to mention really fast that you have a Catalyst proposal?
Yeah, I did a couple proposals. Thanks, brother. Like one was about like building the LA community, because, again, I'm real new to like crypto. I only got like people like Ryan and his team and stuff. Like it's impressive, and that's all I can say about that. Personally, I kind of heard about all this last September. I went to the summit, and I've been kind of exploring since then. But, I have noticed that like, I just like the swagger, I'm saying? I'm in LA, I'm not answering the question. I have two proposals. One is building out like a LA Cardano community. We'll see what happens with that. And just for myself, just being totally transparent, like I'm not like attached to Cardano, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm attached to God and Jesus, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even attached to Bob Peace because Bob Peace would get me dead, you feel me? So like I just like to go with the thing that makes the most sense to me, right? So like about 6 months ago when I started watching videos with Charles and this, that, I'm like, yo, this is fucking lucid. Like this makes a lot of sense to me. So I put out some music, you know, and yada, yada, yada. But then the second proposal was for my record label. I've been wanting to do this for many, many years. And I didn't request a whole lot of money, like a couple grand, even less, I think. But, you know, I listed Juice on there and his thing with the listening room just because I love what they're doing. And if you follow me at all, you know that I'm kind of like into universal basic income. I really believe in like just giving people like $1,000 a month, you know what I'm saying? So that you're not like bugging out about buying diapers for your kid and you could actually just like hustle because, you know, you don't want to kill yourself. You just want to be able to hustle, you dig? But so I connect that with my music and that's in the proposal as well. So yeah.
Fantastic. Dalton, I have a question for you since, you know, just from the musician side. What are your biggest pain points with the current way that the industry is? I think it'd be good for
Pain,
people
did
to
you
know.
say?
Yeah, pain points. Yeah, what are the parts that bring you just not joy in the current system?
Okay, I just unmuted. Let me get my tea. I don't know. Like, I don't have enough experience with this industry. Like, I've mainly been a live performer. Like, you got a Grammy nom. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've been paid well for live performances, but you know, there's no longevity. Like, I did a wedding a few years ago, you know, for $1,500, but you do that and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, but that's getting paid well, in my opinion, for a live show. You know. So I don't really have enough industry experience, you know, to list pain points. You probably can, you know, and I don't, you know, I want to be the best. Like I want to be a global superstar. I'm not trying to, you know, hide that. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a household name. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, I'm not too ugly. You know what I'm saying? But like, so you know, apart from like starting a label back in the day with my buddy and being, you know, 24 or 5 years old and, you know, being so averse to conflict and basically just giving away like some master rights basically. But I don't, you know, you could do that and you could mess that up in any industry. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's particular to this industry. Apart from that, like I just focus on playing my music because the music is what will, you know, nothing else really matters. It's about the music. If the music's either good or it's not, you know what I'm saying? So my job is to make it good. Am I answering it sort of?
Yeah, that's fine. You're good. You're good. There's no right or wrong answer, man.
I mean, I know
your
y'all are
opinion.
involved in royalties. Like I took all my shit off streaming because, you know, you know, and I'm gonna be dead ass with you because, you know, this should be an open discourse. Like, in my opinion, like I said, I'm all about whatever the best solution is, whether it's yours, you know, DZ, mine. I don't care who says it. Somebody not even in this group. But like, even when we was in, and you know, please don't get upset at me. I had a bunch of people in the space like get upset at me. I'm like, yo, like you got to be able to be honest. So you know, oh wait, no, this is being live streamed. Okay, I'm gonna DM you actually. I did say the other thing in a private thing, but I you know, I do, generally speaking, I do think it's important to, you know, be honest with concerns, and even if it's with our fellow projects, you know what I'm saying? I really think that will elevate us all, in my opinion.
I think open and transparent is the way to go. So, and I think that's why we're here, and we're live streaming it. So people are gonna get it like it is. So yeah, y'all strap in. Justin, man, tell us, speak to us. You're muted.
Yeah, I'll just do the two parts. So my name is Justin, go by Kid Juice. Juice, Justin E actually is where that came from. People just started just putting it together. Um, yeah, so just a brief intro, and then to kind of answer the question, um, you know, I'm I've come to Cardano as an artist to really, I feel like a safe haven. Number one, like within the community, but number two, but also like not number two, neither is like more important. But I did come here to be able to like truly gain control over like my digital assets and intellectual property. And like that's my biggest reason why I'm here. And how I'm rolling out my music personally, I want to have in total alignment with like my intentions of being here and my vision in that same space. And with that does come a process of I want to put out physical works, like physical copies, and I'm going to be authenticating those copies and serializing them with the NFT. And then also the next phase of that is I do want to have a just an easy playable streamer, easy streamer. But also, going to what DZ Codes was saying, having the publishing secured, like totally, so that anyone can come in and buy. So now I'm kind of answering the question twofold, really. I'm kind of doing an intro and answering the question at the same time. Like on like why I'm here is like the reason is the same problems that I have within the music industry. And it's just really securing our intellectual property on the back end, securing our publishing to where like we're almost really in. I mean, I feel like you can't be in total control. You do compromise and give off pieces to a certain extent for it to also like be a well-oiled machine, and you gotta still grease the wheels as well, like they say. And so, but with that being said, still having a majority amount of control over like what's happening like with my digital assets. Like I have a whole sound library, that'll probably take me 6 months to input, over time. It's like I want to be able to secure that, and I want to be able to like secure that for my daughter, for my family's future, for on the life. But in so doing, also in securing that, it's also now like open sourcing it to a certain extent, and now like it can be used freely with and for everyone. Not to say that ones haven't already done that. Like I've pushed sound packs for free, back in the day, and like that's almost like that thin line of like, hey, what am I willing to give up and like build up, my relationships like through my value of showing what sounds I can create versus also like how much am I willing to like keep back and like now, then come out with the whole predetermined proper release plan to like, and that's a whole different story, of like a 29 step release plan to really continuously again assure and ensure that like you're really taking the proper protocol and precautions to not just effectively release your music, but market it effectively and get those ears on it to where like now you have those streams and it is paying off on the front and back end to where it all makes sense, and to kind of just tie that in and kind of wind it down, like me being able to, I'm 63% of the way sold of just 100 really minimal collection of my first, music 3D AR NFTs. And like that, just, the stat that I put the numbers together, I'm still taking home, and I don't have a problem sharing with anyone because people might, but I'm still taking home the majority share with totally kicking out, expensing to the developers, to my 3D artists as well, it's all fair. And I still am keeping a substantial amount, which is amazing. But the total revenue that generates is $2,900 for my initial collection. And it will have taken me 1 million streams on Spotify to generate that same amount of money. And so like I just in that
say that again for those in the back who didn't hear you one more time, please.
Right. So I have 100 collection music NFT and I'm 63% sold out right now. So at 29 ADA, let's just living the glory days for a second. Remember when ADA was at $1, right? So let's just say like Ada was at $1, that at 29 Ada, that will have brought me in $2,900 of revenue as an independent artist, which I'm still taking the majority share home of with after expensing my graphic design artist, and like how much I'm still taking home after that is like, okay, now you just add your price, you know, I'm just kind of still giving it away at the moment. But with that being said, to still be able to generate $2,900 of revenue off of 100 sales, that's it, 100 sales. And I'd have to do 1 million streams on Spotify, you know, it doesn't add up. And I do want to show that in my experience and like how I'm coming in, and then tie that to my roadmap and just continue this conversation moving forward as to this is why I'm here and this is what we need to do to make it make sense. And these are these little nitty gritty tangibles. And this is my random question to kind of end my intro, is like a question that I've been getting asked a lot, and almost like, do we need to create our own wallet? You know what I'm saying? With that, like, why wait for, you know, why wait for a wallet integration? Like, we might need to create our own wallet that already has that integration with rolling out our stuff. This is just a fucking hypothetical idea, but you know, I'm just throwing, that's where I'm at, guys.
Justin, I want to drive this point home. How many man hours would you say worth of work you put in to create that one piece of music that you're serializing, if you had to put a number value to it?
In terms of man hours, like just one piece. Wow. I mean, the one piece that I'm going to be releasing, actually, I am going to be releasing a one piece here shortly, maybe, with a visual artist. And that's with the conversation, like our collaborative efforts and like the time that we both spent in on that piece. I definitely say a minimum of 72 hours. Like,
okay. So
yeah.
that's shortballing it, and that's not even considering the time that you spent in life perfecting your trade and craft to get to that point, right? So let's just go real fast math. 72 hours worth of work. We'll round up, say 80. That's 2 weeks worth of work. Equates to, if you sell it for $29.80 a pop after expenses, you're looking at $2,900, right? For 80 hours worth of work, right? So if we break that down to hourly wages, people at home need to understand what that looks like from a practical standpoint of where we're at currently as a musician, right? And why it is that we're choosing to tackle the problems that we see, because that's not a viable option for you to make a living and continue to create for a living, right? That's just not, it doesn't work. So first of all, super happy for your product, man, and happy that you're getting to do that. But I just want everybody at home, if you really want to know the brass tacks of what it looks like behind the scenes, it's that. And now to couple this, if you didn't have this venue to do that, to get it to 1 million streams, that would take much longer than 80 hours worth of work. That's assuming you can get the algorithm correct to where you can get it in front of that many people, right?
Exactly. And that's the kicker. And I was being very easy with saying 72 hours. You know, that's really very light. But then so actually within my playlist, I have 12 tracks in there. So that's 72 hours, times 12 actually, to make a little bit more sense. And then probably add, multiply that by 1.5. And then might be at the right number.
That just gets even more abysmal. That's so sad.
And the you made a great point, was like the man hours. That's what I was kind of speaking to in terms of that 25 to 29 step. This is based off of I was talking to little Dalton down there about a piece that, like, if anyone read Ari Herstand's How to Make It in the New Music Business, like, it does break a release down into 29 steps, if I'm not mistaken. And like, if you miss any one of these steps, like, you're really fumbling. Like, you didn't do it right. And like, the people that are successfully having these releases, they are successfully following these steps, like, all the way through. And the time that it takes to get through these 29 steps takes 3 months alone, minimum, of like knocking down these dominoes, making sure things are tied up on the back end, setting up your processes, creating your videos, your marketing material for, this is just for one piece, you know, not for the other 10 other pieces. And I think that's where, and that's, we do ourselves a disservice because it takes so much man hours in Web2 to just deploy this one piece of work to where we don't get paid ever. We will never reap the benefits of it. We're never it's like you got to go platinum and you got to be, you know, get a multi, you know, otherwise you are on a lifestyle if you're getting paid 1,500, like what Bob Piece is saying. You're doing live shows, you get paid boom, boom, right? So that's where we're bridging that gap of like having merch, physical merch that you can serialize and authenticate, you know, as a Basquiat that adds to the culture. Like that's gonna give, you know, your back end and your security for your family literally for the rest of time. When right now Basquiat couldn't do that because he didn't have the opportunity, technology that we have here now that we can sit here and talk about, that we can secure our intellectual property is what I'm saying, and really like make sure everything's taken care of. And then now we're all not sitting here like worried about left, right, and the other. Like I've been beating my head about these issues for a long time, way too long now. So
Breach. Okay, my grid just changed layouts, but Irie, I think you're next on my. Did I pronounce your name right? I apologize if I didn't.
Yeah, you did, Irie Reina. Thank you so much. No, I mean, I definitely echo everyone's sentiments, especially coming from the artist perspective. And I think that's where me and the gang putting together the listening room, we kind of just stumbled upon an opportunity of value by being able to kind of bridge that gap for a lot of people. Like the cool part is, just for reference, this listening room like legit just started off of us kind of hearing each other's stuff on a random space one day and then coming together and being like, hey, let's talk about this, let's play some of each other's tracks. That next space was initially just like, hey, this is our sounds and this is how we can help each other. I mean, the guys got a ton of like production assistance. There was just so much knowledge shared and so much experience shared that we really just saw the value in that. And we were like, let's keep doing this. Let's just keep seeing where it's going. And at this point, we've been able to also kind of do some cross-chain reference in which we found value in us onboarding newcomers to Cardano, and that being another piece of the pie that we're able to extend a whole community, even more major players, because at the end of the day, I think what we're all getting at here is we're capable of creating our own market, right? And now that we have like this blank canvas, I think a big part of the intention of this call was to be able to paint the picture as to how the artist experience will look like moving forward, how business for artists will differentiate moving forward. You guys are like major contenders in making those changes for us on the blockchain. So this is like step one as far as how we can combine superpowers. And then hopefully where we add our value. I mean, we all individually have our own artistry, which is, again, just a really unique piece of our team because we don't really ever butt heads about anything. We just respect the fact that we're all our own professional. And I think that's why we're all here as well today. And I guess as far as I'm concerned, where my heart is I honestly never got the opportunity to break through the music industry per se, in terms of signing to a label or getting heavy exposure with one of the major distributors. And being on the local scale, and I'm just going to say as any local artist, it's extremely difficult to be taken seriously because, you know, I live in Miami, which is heavily saturated with artists. And a lot of the times, you know, money talks. So just like anything, when you're working the centralized system, it works just as anything else. And, you know, it leaves a lot of room for corruption. It leaves a lot of room for gatekeeping. It leaves a lot of room for influence. And essentially, none of us here are trying to sell our souls just to create our art. So if we can bridge the gap for other people and be able to act as that voice, that's one thing where we kind of found our heart and soul in the listening room, because we leveraged it as, hey, this is a platform that potentially we can turn into a podcast. Just especially now that Twitter Spaces are tripping on us, we've been having a lot of audio issues. So that's really just like killing the vibe. If we can quickly shift from that, that's going to help a lot. But in essence, like if we can continue to cultivate this community, I just think it's going to be a win-win situation for us all, because you guys are acting as pretty much decentralizing the music structure, and then we are acting as that bridge to say, hey, artists of any kind on any blockchain under any exposure level, you can come through to us and we'll at least be a helping hand in some capacity, aside from, again, sharing our own art along the way. I hope that wasn't too loaded.
No, that was, I mean, I thought that was a great answer. Look, I have been for the longest time trying to figure out how to like pipe and route like 48 kilohertz audio through Twitter Spaces off my iPad. I can't do it because it doesn't have core audio drivers on the iPad. It makes me sad. So yeah, I'm with you on that. You use the term gatekeeper, and I just want to expound for everybody. Look, guys, I'm going to keep coming back to this education aspect. Just I think we take for granted. We know the system, and we know the problems or the difficulties with the current system. So many people in the space, they have no idea. They just know they open Spotify or iTunes and they hit play, and they have access to buku of music, right? They don't understand some of the pitfalls. And you know, I read to your point about gatekeepers. For those of you that don't know at home that are listening to this, you know, the current model, right, or it has been at least since like 1916 when ASCAP was created, which is royalty collection thing. We'll talk about that later. Is, you know, you don't make it unless you get signed, and typically, if you get signed, you don't own anything. And with the signing comes their resources, which means their PR, their recording engineers, their recording space, they're setting up your tours, them creating your merchandise. You just create music, you show up, and you sing, and you don't do anything inflammatory on a social place to screw up the sales. That's really what artists have. If you get signed by a major label, that's really what you function as. You're like a cash cow. You eat, you create, and then you don't ask questions, and you get a paycheck and you get what they give you. And that's kind of how, that's a very, very pared down and very condensed version of what it looks like. Obviously there's nuance, but for the most part, I think we could all agree that's kind of where it lands. And gatekeepers being the big three labels, distributors, and the big royalty collections, right? And now, since, was that 2006, I guess, Spotify, now the streaming platforms. Because for those of you that don't know, the big three labels have a large share of, not large, but it's like 15 or 16% share ownership of the streaming services. So there's a lot of incentivization on the back end to make each other money about this. And people need to understand that the music industry is not about music. It's just not. It's about profits. It's a business. And music just happens to be the vehicle through which they make a profit. And so, you know, people need to understand that's the scope of what we're working with right now. And it's sad because there's a lot of really great artists that will never see the light of day because a label already has somebody that looks like and sounds like them, or they don't want, the label doesn't want them to cut into the profit margins of another artist that's on the label, right? You know, or they don't want that music to get out because, again, they have vested interest in somebody else being successful rather than somebody they have no control over. And that's kind of where we're sitting at. And if anybody wants to talk to that, or just if I missed something that's key in that whole that whole system, please feel free to chime in. But I just think a regular person has no idea that this is what it looks like. You know, so.
I mean, just to, I guess, follow up on that, and being that we're making this an educational piece, I think what we do need to speak to is that there are two types of artists. So to that point, especially for anyone watching, like, as you pursue your artistry, you should be paying attention to these conversations, right? You should be paying attention to your surroundings. Don't just be signing into shit, or sorry, but don't just be signing, you know, your life away, or, you know, especially this is the problem when it comes to the gatekeeping aspect. A lot of people are clout chasing. So if you're in the game for the wrong thing, they're going to sell you dreams and it's going to work. And it just is what it is, right? But I think where the opportunity lies here is for the artists who can be their own business. We have the opportunity to actually like draw the blueprint as to how that looks and how we want it to look for ourselves. You know, me and Juice, like immediately when he told me about his project industry, I was like, we got to talk tokenomics for my collection. Like, how do we, and it's just like, yeah, like, how do we flip this? How do we really put the business and the money behind this? And if we do the footwork now, it'll help, but it does require footwork. So that's just like my disclaimer.
No, I think that's very appropriate. I think we can hash that out some more later on in the conversation, because there's a lot of nuance when it comes to that. But yeah, Stemmy, I think you're next on my grid, man.
How you guys doing? Can you hear me all right? Okay, awesome. My name's Stemmy, from Portland, Oregon. I am a DJ, drum and bass DJ and producer. I also am one of the people who helps run Subduction Audio, who is a drum and bass crew out of Portland, Oregon, where we do live events, streamed events, podcasts, seasonal podcasts, where we get some of the bigger names in the label that come and do a mix for us and whatnot. I've been a fly on the wall for over a year now, just trying to figure out where how I can integrate the blockchain into what our group's mission is and our core. You know, ultimately what we like to do is kind of bring in up and coming DJs and musicians and help nurture them into the arena. You know, I've been doing it since probably '96, and like the rest of the guys in my crew have probably been going on it about the same length of time. So we're all pretty knowledgeable as far as, you know, our wheelhouse of what we do. So I'm just looking at ways of, you know, what everybody's contributing to this space and how I can utilize it in what we're doing. You know, everything from, you know, potential ticket sales to streaming artists, you know, things like that, and just trying to get all my eggs lined up in my basket, so I know who to tap on when the time comes that I need help or direction to figure these things out. Not so like coding or computer savvy, but, you know, as far as everything else when it comes to music, I'm pretty on top of it. You know, I'm also here to just trying to contribute and help out in any way I can. You know, I've been joining the listening room. I don't talk too much because half the time I am at work. So, you know, I tend to have to split at a moment's notice. So, but aside from that, yeah, I know, again, the listening room and the chat room, you know, anytime I can help out with any doc questions or anything like that, you know, usually somebody gets a DM or I post something up. I'm always happy to help and chip in wherever I can. You know, Ryan, I think what you're building here is an awesome thing, and as well as DC Codes, like I think you're both doing. Like I plan on utilizing both your platforms. You know, I delegate to your pool, Ryan, and DC, I'm in your Discord and kind of follow along very much. So I think what's going on here is beautiful, and I'm just going to continue to listen and see what awesomeness is getting built out in this.
No, Stimmy, we appreciate you, and thank you for your delegation. Guys, blockchain is great. It helps with revenue streams, right? Like, I don't know, like our project we're being funded through our stake pool. I mean, it's kind of amazing. So I would highly encourage you all, if you're looking for extra revenue streams for what you're doing, and you can find value prop in what you're doing, really consider, you know, an SBO route and running a stake pool, because you're giving back to the network, right? And you're allowing your people another way to help support you in some way, right? So, so we'll have to get you connected with Adam Crum. He's one of our ambassadors up in Portland. So, Andrew, are you here? I can't remember. I don't know if you're. Oh, nope, he's taking a phone call. Okay, all right, we'll let Andrew hop back. I think up next I have Session. Talk to us, man.
What's going on, guys? I get, my name is Session Cruz. I guess I'm coming at it from a different perspective, actually. But I guess I'll just give you the spiel, and then we can talk from there. But I'm building a platform, a music platform, you know, on Cardano, right? I want to build the tools that will allow the business of music to easily enter Web3, right? The first tool is music streaming, direct to consumer music streaming. We're building a way for record labels and their artists to offer music streaming and automate royalties back to, you know, to get receive royalties back for every song that gets streamed, with no middlemen, no Spotify, no ASCAP, no Google servers, none of that, just direct to consumer. And so for me, I feel like the record labels, I mean, and Kid Juice spoke to it a little bit, at least I saw it that way. You need the record labels if you want to be a big suit. If you want to be like Bob Peace, you need the record label. You need the support of them, or else you're going to be putting in 1,000 hours in a week, and no human can do that. Obviously, you need multiple humans. You need a whole team. You need, you know, you need that backing. So I guess it depends on what your goals are. So I'm building this platform, or we are building this platform, so that the business of music can easily enter Web3 and transact using the blockchain, right? And I think, and while most people call the record labels the middleman as well, right, in that equation, I don't think that's the case for most artists. Most artists just want to be artists, and they don't want to be entrepreneurs or business people or marketing professionals or any of that other stuff. They just want to be artists. But if you disagree, the tools that I'm building are for all record labels. Create your own record label. The tools are the same for you as well. Just like how Charles Hoskin says Cardano is for Bill Gates and Ahmed, right? They're for both equally. This platform that I build will be for all artists to be able to run their businesses better in whatever way they see fit. So word. And then after the music streaming part, then we'll add other tools, products, utilities on that to allow them to run their business even better, right? With additional services, right? Anyway, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Andrew, are you back? Uh-oh. I guess he's not back then. All right. Okay, so I have a couple questions for folks. So what are we looking for on this call, right? So I think we put this together so we can get all the people who are on Cardano that are interested in the music side and how this can affect us positively. What are we looking for? Just after kind of hearing things from people, you know, what is popping in your head right now? What are you thinking about?
I think something that's popping into my head is education and awareness to bring in to onboarding new people and new artists as they look into other alternatives to different chains. Knowing what resources are where and or what services, who offers what service. That way they have a direction and onboarding is a lot smoother. I don't know if that would require like an education-based site or how that looks, but I think that would be something that would be beneficial to new artists coming onto the chain.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Yeah, no, I think education, and I've said this from Jump Street, people just don't know. They need to know what options are available to them, and they need to know how is this going to benefit them, right? I had a call today, and somebody was asking me, he said, what's your target audience? And I said, it's creators. I said, but it's also consumers. But it's creators first, at least for us, right? And so talking to those pain points, but then also what's going to incentivize somebody to go, oh, I had this artist I like to hear, but they're only on like Noom or something like that, or they're on this platform. Like, oh, okay, why would I go over there to do this? Which brings home a point that whatever, look, y'all know what we're building. If you don't, I'll tell you in a second, like everything kind of what we're doing. But I don't care how many projects or things pop up on the Cardano ecosystem. I think the more the merrier, because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's what I love what we're building. But, you know, 5 years down the road, if that's inspired 2 other new platforms to have been created, then we've done our job, right? That's inspiring that stuff. But we need to be able to, it doesn't need just to be a little bit better. It's got to be unequivocally, this is a better option and a better experience for a consumer. And so, you know, what does that mean from a practical standpoint? Your UX and UI have got to be killer. Like they just have to be, right? And let's be honest, there's nothing broken with the Spotify app. There's just not. It's a good experience. It might be a little bit bloated occasionally, but like you open it up, it looks pretty. You click on things, it works, right? I mean, you can't argue with that. I think we need to be really realistic with what we're going up against, right? And then we also need to be honest. I think really about what does this really solve a problem? Like, are we trying to find a problem for the tech, or is this tech really going to be solving a problem, right? And then if we can do that, and then show no, it really is. Here's the problem. This is how this makes it really better. That's another big piece of the puzzle, I think, in my opinion. Like artists, they know what to do to get their music uploaded, right? You know where to go. They can go to CD Baby, DistroKid, upload their audio files, put in their metadata, boom, it's done, right? It doesn't need to be much different from us. Like, it's hard to train people to do new things, right? So like for Noom, like our first deliverable is going to be like at the, I don't know, they're going to kill me if I give a specific date. I will not. Like early Q2, our first deliverable is the minting platform, right? Because everything we're doing is to give artists more money, right? And to Session's point, I'm not anti-label. Our platform, a label can use it just as well as a single artist. My biggest thing is that everybody is on the same playing level. Everybody gets the same tools to work with, right? And so, like our platform, though, it's literally going to be, we're using the Fricata contract, right, by DC Spark with Seba. Thank you, Seba. But we're going to do that to where you upload your audio file, put in your metadata, and then you list all the entities that own it and what percentage do they own, right? As soon as you do that, bam, mints the NFT. It opens the policy ID. Then it creates the tokens, the fungible tokens in the policy ID that represent the IP rights, fractionalized IP rights. Then it closes the policy, and it's locked, right? And that's our first big deliverable. But when you do that, what does that? That allows you, all of a sudden, an artist can quantify their music, right? Like you can now start. It just opens up things to do with that, right? You can trade them, you can hold, and so yeah, all that to say, like it needs to be easy to use and super intuitive, right? So like we put a lot of focus into that. I don't know, Justin, what you got, man?
Yeah, just even a simple question to that is that each person that you put there as an entity that owns a piece of the asset, is there also an option to put a wallet tied to that person, and or if to so I'm sure you guys have already figured this all out, so but so is there a wallet option to add, and then if so, and or if not, is there a wallet where these monies are stored for this individual person, until they get a wallet set up? Kind of, if you could speak to that, that'd be dope.
That's a great question. Andrew Westberg is our CTO. If y'all don't know Andrew, he created or helped on the back end of Drip Drops and other things, and Jormungandr, he's a wizard. I'm gonna make sure I don't say anything that makes him come after me with a pitchfork. So basically, to the user experience side of things, we're techie. We love the crypto space. I've got a ledger right here. I do all the fun things. However, my grandfather, who came to visit me last week, is not going to do this. He's not, right? And so in the tech space, in the crypto space, decentralization is like a cult, right? When you say it's decentralized, that's like everybody's like, yes, if it's not fully decentralized right off the bat, then that's a problem. And you're not being true to crypto. That's not real life, right? It's a spectrum. Life is a spectrum. Decentralization is a spectrum. And so, and to that point, a custodial wallet and a non-custodial wallet, that's not going to fit everybody, right? So in our mind, the average person, again, we're coming at this from the user experience on this, is they don't need to know they're interacting with the blockchain until, it just needs to magically work. And then we go, oh, by the way, this is how this works. So we're taking the approach of a custodial wallet for them. So will they need to write down a seed phrase? Heck no. But is it going to be capable of storing tokens? Yeah, of course. And so here's the deal. If somebody uploads a piece of music, right, and they fractionalize it, and somebody that's a partial owner isn't on our platform yet, Yeah, they have it. They have a wallet created, so it's almost like escrow. So it's ready to be released whenever when they sign up, etc. Right. So to answer, I hope that answers your question.
I want to just say something to this. I totally agree that user experience is the main point that I said. This was my bottleneck. I really needed someone really good on it. I didn't want just to have some templates done or something, you know. So yeah, it's definitely important step. And I'm building decentralized thing, but my idea is get it cross-chain, like build stable base on Cardano, which is really decentralized, get it cross-chain, and after it's cross-chain, there can be Web2 thing utilizing Web3 thing that will be like middleman and providing these custodial things. And I think like getting cross-chain is kind of important to me for this kind of doing just sounds, NFTs, and because like if it's on one chain, you can't really verify anything. But if it gets really cross-chain, it actually makes sense to have any kind of verification if it's really unique and like who was first and whatsoever. So yeah, that's like my thinking there. But yeah, that will take some time definitely. But like with things like Milkomeda, it's getting all sooner than probably expect.
I mean, like DZ. I mean, truly, like if we by tokenizing anything, IP rights, the sound libraries, the stems or the masters, etc., you can then wrap it, right? If it's a native asset, it can go through the Milkomeda protocol and be wrapped and be an ERC20 and have a representation, right? So, I mean, I don't think it's not a far off thing, right? So, you know, that to me, I think that's a very valid point. And I do want to say you're spot on. I don't know about you guys, but I had a conversation. It really bothers me when I see people, I said, look, hey, it only costs you just a few dollars to mint on ADA. And his response was, well, that's too cheap. So there's going to be too much trash in the ecosystem. It needs to cost a lot of money. So there's a cost so it's prohibitive for people to do that. And I just totally disagree.
We have like 1.5 with every token. So like you can mint, I think like trillion or something around that tokens in one transaction of one token. But yeah, like to send any of them, you need to send also 1.5 ADA. So like this protocol is not totally stupid. So yeah.
No, I'm with you. So, and we're going to be utilizing sidechains and Hydra heads for our, for micropayments, right? We're doing micropayments. I can't think of a better way to go about that than using Hydra heads and sidechains, right? Because, open it for a week, have the stuff, close it at the end of the epoch. You get one transaction cost, right? I mean, that's great, and that keeps the cost of the protocol down, right? So, anywho, did I see Andrew? You're back. You're back from the call. Come on, man, talk to us.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm talking on the computer, so I got the blank screen going on the thing. But hey, you can kind of see me. What's going on, Ryan? Hello, everybody. What's hot? What's happening, man? Thank you for this.
Oh, I didn't put it together. This is Justin doing his thing. I'm just hosting the Twitter the thing. I love it. We're collaborating
juice,
already,
man. Yeah, it's a little bit of everyone, man. No, that's cool. I mean, just a little bit about myself. I'm a music producer as well. I deep dove into the engineering aspect. That's what really caught my focus. I started a record label with my best friend. And yeah, the whole idea of just even the way you explain the label and everything, that's exactly how it works, And that's exactly what we didn't want to do. Our entire idea and our goal was to create this platform for artists around locally to come in and build, play around with some tools. It's a giant sandbox. We had every tool available, from all the plugins, all the VSTs, all the sound libraries, like you mentioned, the pianos, the speakers, everything, and people would come in, create, and it was great. It worked out both ways because I got to learn behind the scenes everything that went into production from all different types of genres, while at the same time learning how to mix, master, and engineer everybody's tracks. But it was a beautiful thing because we didn't really do any contracts. It was literally all just yo, you're my friend. We're gonna take care of each other. You know what I'm saying? And it got to this point where this kid local, he was a DJ performing. He started getting into production. We started helping him mix and mastering, using all of our tools. And he actually blew up. You know, he was going around performing. He got a giant, actually, like world tour to open for like Bass Nectar, you know, and he just literally came over like maybe the next day after getting that news and was like, hey, don't mind me. I'm going to delete all this shit off the computer. And me and my friend are just standing there looking at him. And it's like, I'll never forget that moment because me and my friend made that eye contact. And I'm just like, not worth it, bro. Like, just let it go. So the kid, everything got canceled from Corona. I mean, everything kind of worked out like karma, I guess. He dropped all of his friends. He completely did this whole new change of life. You know, the ego, the fame, everything got to him. Haven't heard of him since, you know? So that kind of like deterred me away from music for a little bit, you know? I just wasn't as excited about it. So coming into the crypto sphere, you know, I got into NFTs and stuff, and I reached out with my skill set. I linked up with a project called Cyberbots, and I was like, bro, like, you got some dope artwork, but you kind of need some audio to match the uniqueness. You know, he kind of had the same static sound across all the NFTs. And he's like, maybe, you know, we'll see. Kind of like Bob Peace was talking about, a little hesitant, you know what I'm saying? Which makes sense. You got to be hesitant in this game, you know? So I just started sending him samples, sending him files. And he's just like, yo, like, hold up. Like, let's figure something out. I can tell you're serious now, you know? So going through the process, man, minting NFTs, get my audio in there, and just seeing my audio in every different people's wallets, people I don't even know or talk to. And it really inspired me of just like, this is what it's about, man. It's just getting your artwork into a bunch of people to just enjoy it. Like, even if you don't know them, like, it doesn't matter, man. So that's kind of what stemmed even the whole thought of the organic building of the listening room with Juice and Irie, Disguise, Demonic. We all just came together and we're like, yo, like, we're passionate about all these different sections. Like, let's just combine that passion. Listening room, boom. And that's kind of where we're at now. And it's kind of like we have that same vision and goal where, like, we want to help each other out. We have this giant room, the listening room. We got all these tools, all these people, engineers, producers, musicians, composers, video engineers, like directors, everything. But the world's your oyster, man. You come in the room and you meet these people, you talk to these people. And that's just been like where my passion's at, because it's almost like a community project, you know? But once again, like, I'm in the background, like, reaping some of the benefits, you know, instead of me learning all the engineering, it's me connecting with all these different people, you know? So instead of just that small organic crowd of building people up, now I'm that small local kid. Now everyone's building me up with them. So, man, it's been super exciting. I've just been trying to just work, keep my nose to the grindstone, figure out everything, man, because with music, obstacles just pop up so often. It's so easy to just run into something and stop. But with what's been building, it's been no roadblocks, just straight momentum. And what I've learned is, like, you just got to keep going and keep going and keep going. It's the snowball effect. And we're going down that mountain real fast. There's nothing that's going to stop us. So I'm happy we're here. Everyone coming on this call, getting the word out. That's truly what it's about. I don't think I answered any questions or said anything in there, but you know what? It's all hype and it's all love.
That works. That works just fine. Oh gosh. So, okay. Side note. I don't think I even said what my project is, and I apologize. Justin, what you got, man?
I was gonna say, if you can talk about your project.
Your turn.
Sorry.
Ryan.
Sorry. Yeah, I love chatting with you all. It's just nice to be in a community with a hot minute of people who understand the nuance and understand what's going on. Because I feel like a broken record every time I talk to someone not in the music community. It's going, okay, well, here's the pain points. Here they are. Here's why we're doing this. Yada 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 yada. Please stop consuming music like it's just a thing that you listen to passively. Please treat it like visual art. It has that much meaning and value prop. So anyways, okay. So Stemmy, we appreciate you. Thank you, Stemmy. So yeah, Noom is, we're building a music ecosystem. It's not a streaming service. It's not a marketplace. It is a whole bunch of things, because I am a firm believer that I want it to be a place where musicians can go and start from conception to retirement. And I want them to be able to live in this place and find their needs. And so we basically have 5 tenets, and we're doing we're starting fractionalization of IP rights, then streaming, and then micropayments. Because I'm a pianist. I played in the library bar all through high school, and my tip jar got me gas for weeks. Right? So there's nothing like a person enjoying drinks and a smoke coming up and enjoying what you're playing and dropping 100 in there, and you're going, "Thank you, sir, for my gas for the next week." So micropayments to artists, and then we're doing ticket sales, and then we're also having the creation of a DAO for governance. That'll be the last thing we do, just because the legal. So we created our company in Wyoming because they specialize in DAO LLCs, right? And Wyoming is leading the nation in cryptocurrency legislation. But that being said, a DAO does not facilitate what we need it to right now in the courts. The law hasn't caught up yet, and that's going to be a couple years down the road. So that's why the DAO is the last deliverable on our thing, just because, yeah, we can do on-chain governance and voting, but anytime somebody has, as soon as you leave the digital world and go to a court, DAOs, they don't cut it yet. So anyways, so in that vein, right, when you fractionalize those IP rights, that just opens up so many streaming or so many monetary streams for an artist. Because what happens then, right? So we approached it from, why do artists sign with labels? They need money, 9 times out of 10, right? And right, so we wanted to relieve that pain point of, well, what if you could get upfront cash without giving all of your rights away, all of your ownership away, right? And so I have no problem with them selling their rights, right? But I want them to have the option to. So what does that look like? If I'm an artist, I upload my music. I have a piece of music, all right? I upload it. I fractionalize it. Let's just say, we'll keep it simple. There's only 2 people that own it. I own 50%. Let's just say I put up for sale we'll make it round numbers, 10% of my IP rights. Okay. So, and somebody buys it, I can set it at a price or I can auction it. Right. And we're going to we'll facilitate that in the app. And then here's the cool thing. As soon as they buy it, I now have upfront cash, right, that I can now operate and continue creating. But 2, let's just say somebody bought your 10% of one song and they paid $1,000. Multiply that by 10. Now you have a dollar value for how much your song is worth on the open market, right? So that's right. So like now I can take that and go, hey, I can take out a DeFi loan using my IP right tokens as collateral against a loan and get even more capital if I need it, right? And so now I've done one song, and now somehow I've procured, $1,000 on the sale, and now I've taken out a collateralized loan with my song and gotten an extra cash to continue creating, right? And so now I have operational cash. So that's why we went that route first, because that allows for that. And then with the streaming, we don't own anything. So I want to point this out. I think this might have been a misconception. Neume does not own anything. We are literally think of us like IOHK. We are a like a janitor. We're building this thing and then we give it away, right? So we're just building the protocol, and we're turning it loose, right? So the protocol is what needs to function, right? So the whole point of blockchain is to replace middlemen with code that's not incentivized to make a profit, right? If you do that, then all the extemporaneous expenses go to where they need to go. So, basically that's how this is functioning. So the streaming side, we get to pay almost 2x times per stream. You don't have to wait till your account balance gets up to $1,000 to make a withdrawal. You can choose how to get paid in either stable coins, because you need to have a dependable income, or you can choose to get paid in our token if you think the token is going to increase in value and you want to, if you're an early adopter of our platform, right, then you'll end up having more. And so that's a thing, right? And then for the NFT side, using fungibles and non-fungibles, right, we're able to do ticket sales And then when you do that, you have extremely targeted marketing. Anybody who has a wallet with one of your tokens in it, you can now target them for special perks, right? That's the ultimate form of marketing. It doesn't get more specific than that. And so that opens up a whole plethora of business models and ways to connect with your audience. So yeah, man.
So do the listeners have to buy? Do they buy a general? Does Noom have general tiered options to where like you can listen to this many, or this token gets you this many artists you can listen to, or do you have to buy the artist token to listen to each artist specifically? You're on mute. You're muted.
Dang it. Got you. Sorry. No, we're doing a subscription model. So we'll have a freemium, a next tier, like a regular tier, and then we'll have a hi-fi audio tier. But again, that subscriptions, that money, it doesn't go to our company. It goes to the protocol's pot that it all pulls from to pay out the streaming royalties to the artist at the end of the month, right? So we don't custody the money. Does that make sense? So it only lives in the protocol, not to the company. So when we file our taxes for the company, that's not going to be part of our income stream. That does not get filed on our taxes, right? So I just want to be very, very upfront and very clear about that, because I know there was some misconceptions with where money was going with the subscription.
Do you mind sharing a price range of the tiered options of what those might be looking like?
Here's my so my CFO doesn't murder me as well. Here's my very general answer. Florian, I love you very much. Florian's on vacation right now, just to let you all know. He's going to be back next week. So we will be competitive with the current market structure. There we go. That's my answer for that question. But with the caveat of knowing that at least the majority of all the money they spend on that is going to end up in the artist pockets and not with the distributor and not with the streaming platform, right? So
I have a question, and can you pay with ADA or not?
I can't speak to that just yet. We are currently in active talks with some people. Think of it like a Bank 3.0, right? Like that can facilitate payments in fiat, traditional credit card fiat, but then can be converted into a crypto if need be, or go vice versa.
Is that Cody? Yeah.
I got nothing.
I need to check stable coin.
I got nothing, Justin. I got nothing.
You will get him into some troubles.
No, I got nothing for that. So, but yeah, that's how we're going to facilitate that. But essentially, and here's the thing: I want everybody to know. When you tokenize stuff, you open up so many revenues and avenues of connection to people, right? So think of it this way. If you have a listener that comes and listens to you on the platform, right, it's a positive feedback loop, because the more they listen to you, if they own part of your music, they get paid money. So they're incentivized to listen to your music and to go and... How many of y'all have a catalog that people listen to the first 4 songs, but they never get to like the bottom 2? I do that. Yeah. Well, now... if you have an option for people to buy part and own part of this music, now people who are not just musicians, but regular investors, regular people, they're going to go scour and try to find the next best thing or the next obscure thing that they can own before it goes big. So that's going to incentivize people to dig down the playlist and to find those pieces of music. Does that make sense? So we're creating a double positive feedback loop. That's a big thing. So
I have another question, if you don't mind. If sorry guys, you just kind of just take, pull the rug from under me if I'm taking too much time. But is there a fee for the artist to upload? So 3 questions. Bear with me. I'm sorry. Is there a fee for the artist to upload their tracks, and/or what's the business to business model between the partnership? And then is this functioning as an app in the App Store as well?
Yeah, so let me answer the first question.
All right.
Anytime that you interact with a smart contract, DZ, I see you down there chuckling. So anytime you interact with a smart contract, there's a transaction fee, right? And so that has to be paid up front. to mint, right? Now, and I'm not going to say anything that Andrew doesn't murder me for. We are internally talking about, could you potentially, as an artist, already have your account, and could you forego paying the transaction fee yourself and wait till you receive your first royalty streams to pay retroactively for that minting fee, or paying it as you mint it, right? But either way, it's the cost to mint one song and even an entire album is still less than your subscription to a distribution service, right? So yeah, and then second question I think you had was,
Well, the
apps.
Yeah, the apps.
So we have seven or eight developers. We have full stack developers for iOS and Android. So yeah, the consumer side will be app based. The product side or the artist side is going to be web based, right? Like you have to have web based because I have to grab I'm Pro Logic. I hate Pro Tools with a passion. Pro Tools can die, but I want to take my hi-fi audio or like my 192 kilohertz hi-fi audio, and I gotta drag it up and upload it, right? So that's how this is going to work. So the consumers, it's going to be app based. So yeah.
And then my last question in the moment is, what was it? Where are you? Oh, so you said that you have. All right. So do you have like, what's the process of onboard of artists that you currently have right now that you're going to be deploying the platform with? And then the next stages of like onboarding the next round of artists to be able to stream on the platform. What's that look like?
Yeah. So we have our ambassador program, right? So we knew that, back to the education side of things, that you can have the best thing since sliced bread, but if no one knows about it, it doesn't matter, right? So so we have ambassadors in strategic places. We have ambassadors in LA, and in Portland, in Texas, in Nashville, in Atlanta, and New York. And it's not geographically based. It's more genre based.
But Chicago?
I don't think we have anybody in Chicago, actually. I know. I look, we're working on it. So what they're doing is they are painting the vision. They're educating the artist and going, hey, we know your pain points. Did you know that this is coming? And I want to point this out. One of our ambassadors, they're like, hey, there's competition. It's going on. And they're already releasing stuff. And I'm going, no, they're not. I want to point this out for everybody listening right now. All the stuff that you're seeing with other, quote, audio stuff on other platforms right now, it's all hype. There's nothing right now that it's either a centralized version that's basically it's Web 2.0 wrapped in a bow that says, hey, I'm Web 3.0. Please pay exorbitant amounts of money for me. That's all it is. So I'm not worried. I'm not stressed about the timeline because people that have already chosen to release their projects on ETH, that's an issue. That's not sustainable. That's not a sustainable business model. If you don't know your cost, you can't calculate, right? That doesn't work. That's why we chose ADA, right? That's why we chose Cardano, because it's a predictable fee model. We know how much it's going to cost to run transactions. If you have that, then you can plan accordingly and set your business model for how much the protocol should take percentage-wise of each transaction to offset and to have just enough of a profit to be able to run and pay for the infrastructure that it needs to pay for. Does that make sense? Sorry.
I did have a question if I may. Sorry, if you still had juice, go ahead.
Well, my last little, I think you kind of answered it, but is there a rollout date / are there artists that you're currently working with that you are going to be unrolling like the platform with?
Yes. Yeah. So we're approaching this from two sides. This is one, I'm all about the indie artist. Florian is all about the A-tier artist. Right. So it's like, it's great, but we need a big name with it too. And I'm like, oh, fine, whatever. All right. But so we're approaching it from both sides of the equation. So yeah, there's plenty of A-tier artists out there that own their music, right? And they've gone through the crucible of dealing with labels. They might have their first album, they might not own it, but once they got more clout, they were able to renegotiate contracts and have more, push, and they can get what they asked for, right? And so there are people that are at the end of their careers that can look back now and want to give back to the next generation of artists, um, and they're really special people, to be honest with you. It's always kind of cool when you run across a really successful person they've done it, they've played the game, they've beat the game, they're at level 80, they're good, they're maxed out, and they can just kind of chill. And to see them kind of, give some, support to that fledgling artist, and going, hey, watch out. Hey, I'd really like to see this change. To speak to Irie's point earlier about don't sign crazy stuff. Know what you're signing, right? So, yeah. I don't know if that answered your question, Justin. I'm sorry.
Whatever.
Yeah, I just wanted to dig while I had you because I was able to just look over a lot of the info on you guys. And I did want to just differentiate more and pick your brain as far as like what the breakdown is on the IP rights exactly from the artist perspective versus the fan investor perspective. Because I do understand that you're offering like that mutual benefit on both ends. But when we're talking about IP rights, like, are we accounting for full mechanical synchronization and performance licenses? Like everything accounted for, or how does that really breaking down?
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great question. So we are really focusing on mechanical right now. But that being said, so we have two lawyers on our legal team. That the biggest thing is that precedent has been set for smart contracts to be legally binding in courts. That's the short answer. And that was actually set in the 90s, before the .com boom. Whenever you click, I accept the terms and services of this contract, like via a digital medium, right? That was argued in court. It was accepted. So the precedent has been set. So really, at this point in time, basically we are focusing on to make life easy for the general populace. We're saying you get, for our platform, right, it is mechanical recording rights because it's through streaming, right? However, yes, IP rights, we're in discussions about also covering sync rights, et cetera, right? Without going too far in the rabbit hole. But yeah, so, and you all know this, most contracts, they're in 200%, right? Most of the contracts that people sign as artists with labels, it's in 200 percentile because you have the actual composer side and then you have the mechanical side, right? And so we look at that and we go, that's stupid. There's absolutely no reason for that to be the case. Why do we have to make it more complicated than it is? It's 100%. That's all it is, right? And so that's another way that we're going about this too. We're only dealing in 100%. There's no reason to overcomplicate this to 200% because you have one silo for the actual composition side and then one silo for the mechanical or the recording side, right? That's just ridiculous. And that's because labels and publishers are the same beast, not beast, sorry, the terrible term. They're the same animal, but it's just on the written side and recorded side, right? And so they need to be together. There's no reason for them to be separate, right? And so we have that. Since we're building the systems, we have that to be able to correct that. It's just, it's what's the word? It's obscure on purpose. It's because they thought about the money trail first, and then about paying out royalties second, right? So we can definitely talk more about just going down that rabbit hole, IP rights, of all of what is entitled and in that actual together. And I'm more than happy to chat with you about that.
So you actually kind of like interest me really fast with that, and almost just because that's almost like new education. That definitely, like kind of teaching the new, or dissecting the old, describing why it was an issue, and kind of building the solution and why, move forward. So I'm just interested to hear a little bit more about you breaking so like totally ridding away with the whole 200% concept of like the 100% of it being a composition, the underlying written composition versus the other 100% being the overlying recorded masters. So just forgive anyone in the space right now, like I'm already, like my brain is already thinking about like, okay, so because that's just the only way I've thought about it. I'm a producer, more so. So I am accounting for my whole 200% of the whole entire piece from the very beginning. And I am thinking about the fact that I again, this is leading up to this conversation. I am thinking about the fact that until I collaborate with someone on really writing the composition on the back end, that I still own 100% of the composition of the total composition of the written composition, right? So my question is, and again, this is just me spitballing a thought. I don't even know if it's a question, but like, say, what happens to that hunt? So even if it's 50-50, right? So then that just goes to 50-50. It kind of that really kind of throws me off in terms of my ownership of the composition, because it almost seems like I'd be now splitting that with the recording artist when we only keep it 50-50, So like my question is immediately is, okay, so maybe then is it like, is it 50-50 really still 100-100? And so then that other 50, right, that I'm holding 25%. So it's really 75-25 now in the moment to that recording artist, because I still own 25% of the master in a sense, so with that recording artist, would it be still 75% me to that 25% recording artist? And I said, that's what I mean by, forgive me for asking this question, but
You're muted.
Still just thinking the whole owning the 100% composition of the written composition up front.
I know we've completely gone into the weeds here for a hot minute, and I apologize. Let me pull us out of the weeds for a second, Justin. Look, we can have a conversation about this, because there's validity to what you're saying, and I just want to here's how I want to tie this back in. Everything you said, valid. What I want everybody to understand is that I want you to think of what we're doing, at least our MVP, right? It's Lego blocks. It's building blocks. If you tokenize and fractionalize and represent these contracts that people sign in a token format, that allows you to do just about anything from a contractual standpoint, right? You need to, so here's, I want you to think of your business logic now. We're flipping it on the head. So before you mint this, you get together, you talk to each other and go, what's ownership? How much do you have? How much? All right, here we go. We're minting it. Boom. Right? It's there. We have our legal jargon that'll pop up before you mint, and it goes, hey, you're doing this. You have fiduciary responsibility over the yeah, fill it in, mint. So without going too far down the weeds, as a composer, right? If you have intellectual property over the composition side of things, that can be represented via a token in a different way, right? So who's to say you can't take those tokens that you have and lock those up in a different contract that actually represents the compositional side of things? So you have Lego blocks that get to build and create things. That's kind of where this is going to. This is my out of the weeds kind of just big picture, and we can talk minutia later, because yes, you're spot on. I don't want to lose everybody that's listening to this, because they're probably going, oh my God, what is this crap?
I like your passion about it, Juice. But yeah, I actually think that's the most important part of the formula, is those royalties that you're so interested in. That needs to get solved first. That's my opinion, for sure.
Justin, I'm sorry, I couldn't give you exact answers right now on that, because I hope you're reading my mind, but yeah.
Well, no, it's okay, because like that was I already kind of answered my, like the answer came to me immediately before I asked it, and that was my kind of 75-25 kind of like bullshit, But you're right, because I've been sharing that with, I've shared with Irie and Andrew, and that's kind of what I'm pushing. Like I'm like sharing with all other musicians, like, yo, you can get together with a graphic artist, you can get together with a developer, and you can tie in your splits on the back end of the smart contract, and everything's taken care of. Like, I'm still now, like, I can't stress enough that everything that like comes into my wallet, I don't have to pay out to my graphic design artist and to, you know, this developers. I'm keeping it all now, and to be able to like to be able to have that already taken care of, and be able to, all of us now be able to reap those benefits on the front end at the immediate moment of transaction and not have to wait for anything is just so revolutionary. And so I'm 100% with you, because that's what I'm currently doing right now. And so that's where it does. And so I would share for anyone and everyone listening, you know, like really these collaborate. I've been speaking to these collaborations, you know, it's like you really got to really start to really, before binding yourself into a smart contract with someone, you know, for the duration of a mint, you know, you really want to be able to trust and consider a long-term approach with this person, you know, because this is, like you said, Ryan, like when it gets brought to court, you know, contractually, you know, binding. And so it does the service that we need. And so I'm speaking to this because I was hesitant with my project, and I keep mentioning this, and I will keep, you know, with Protege and how I did my stuff, but I just I sat for a couple of days, and I asked those pivotal questions to my collaborator, like those uncomfortable questions, you know, like really vulnerable, like almost like, you know, and Protege was like, holy shit, I thought I lost you there a couple times, dude. Like I'm waking up thinking that I'm about to lose my artist that you know, that I wanted to work with and build all this up, because he's hesitant and he's smart, and you know, he's like, okay, you know, and he's just trying to do his best to make me feel good, you know, and like, yo, like whatever, here, you know what I'm saying? I'll have it all. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, I'm not asking for it all like that, bro. I just, you know, and we can come out to something fair, but, you know, all in all, I feel great with what I was able to work out with my team. It's working out perfectly. So I'm a huge advocate of what you shared, and how we can literally create those building blocks, because that's what we've done as my team together. Though I know that when we talk about music and our intellectual property and the former ways and traditional ways of how we've been doing it, like it does start to get so murky. And that was what was making me feel kind of uncomfortable and kind of tying this smart contract in on the back end, because I knew that I was still creating, in a sense, a format and a structure for an independent artist as a musician to operate off of, and to still retain most of the income, so that they can still say, I own the majority of rights to this piece, even though those stipulations weren't maybe ironed out in the smart contract.
I want to throw something out to you. I want you to picture a world, you as an artist, let's just say you're on Noom and you're listening to a piece of music. You love the lyrics, and you're like, oh man, I love these. I want to set these to different music. Open up the metadata. Who is the lyricist? Who wrote the lyrics? Are they on the platform? Oh great, I can reach out to them through the platform. Hey, can we work out a deal? I want to create a mechanical recording using your lyrics. How much of the cut would you like? Right? Now when I go to upload it and I mint it and I list the ownership again, lyricist, right? Well, it autofills because he's in the system, right? And then he now has, here's the thing. If you do one generic, I own this much, so I should get this much of everything, that's missing out on a lot of income that you as a creative could have if you would have had an opportunity to negotiate different contracts with different people, right? So what this is going to allow is a la carte, which is that's a big deal, right? And somebody just asked in the chat, so when we drop as a CNFT, you can still be associated with a performance rights organization like ASCAP. I want to put this out here. I want you to, so here's my five-year goal, okay? 5 years, we have millions of artists on Noom. We now have a catalog of millions and millions of songs. We have a system that pays out royalty distributions every month, automatically, automated. It doesn't take half of the fees, it pays them out, right? We are essentially functioning quasi as a PRO at that point. So to answer that person's question, yeah, we can connect with the API calls to get the data for royalties and pay it out on Noom. But why would you want your music being played anywhere else whenever you get more bang for your buck per stream on our platform? Why would you want someone else to go and listen to it on another platform where you're only going to make half as much per stream? Do you know what I'm saying? So my 5-year goal is that we could potentially join the ranks of some other PROs and help tell the artist, hey, you don't have to choose just 2. How about use us and you get to keep 90% of your royalties instead of only 50, right? But that requires a catalog. But that's a 5-year down the road goal after we have more traction.
So a question, and again, forgive me, guys. I just like my brain is always like going on with all this stuff, and I'm really, I want to thank everyone for being here. Truly, because like these are all the questions that I've just been beating my head across the wall on. That like I just couldn't take it anymore. Like I couldn't go another day doing what I'm doing, not having some of these answers, and all of us being on the same page. So with DZ Codes, for example, in the project he's building, I liken that as to like a current like Looperman or Splice, like a back-end creation collaborative platform, right? So boom, let's just say 3 years from now, 2 years from now, like he has a library, right? A sound library like Splice, you know, like is there any way that he can collaborate, or you all can partner with him to like substantiate that and lock those in, you know, for, I know he's sorry. You're muted, Ryan.
Okay, so our CFO. Anybody familiar with Native Instruments Contact Player? There you go. So yeah. So I'm going to throw this out here. Yes, DC. Yeah, I could see a world where there's in the marketplace. Hey, you artist, right? Are you looking for some extra libraries? Right? You don't have to go to the other guys. There's a way for, because you all know this. I've done this and it's crap, but like I've created my own sound library. Like I've recorded like little weird things and MIDI mapped them out and whatnot. I would never let anybody else and their mother use them because they sound like poo, right? And I don't want anybody else hearing me do that. But there are people that legitimately do that and they create really cool things, but they have no way to get those out to people. Right? If people aren't thinking about this, there's digital distribution, there's storage of data, there's bandwidth you have to pay for to do all these things. That's infrastructure that you have to pay centralized sources for right now, right? And so blockchain, we don't want to use the layer 1. We don't store crap like that on layer 1 because that's ridiculously irresponsible. IPFS, sure, it's where it is, but if you don't access a file after 6 or 7 months, you have to like remap it, right? So it's not necessarily feasible for a good user experience. We need decentralized storage solutions. That's what we need, and it's in the works, right? It's getting there, and there are projects that it's doing that with. But you know, when that gets there, that turns on a switch to where people that are building these libraries, they have a place where they can go have them hosted. They're in perpetuity, right? It's hosted. It can be distributed by the blockchain with smart contracts. They don't have to pay these centralized infrastructure people to host and do that. So this gets into a realm, Justin, to answer your question, that, yeah, I mean, that's in my mind, again, what we're building is an ecosystem. I want them to be able to live there. I'm a composer. I'm a film score guy. Like I have ashamedly too many libraries from Spitfire Audio. I love their stuff. I spend entirely too much money on their libraries. So yes, I would love a place where I can go and find somebody that creates these ridiculously crazy and awesome sound libraries that I could be looking for stuff, right? And then here's another thing. DZ, I think you could speak to this too. How many times have you all bought a sound library because you wanted like 2 sounds? Like you only wanted 2, but you had to buy the whole thing and you spent X amount of money. I would love to a la carte my sound samples, right? And so I could see a realm to where you could a la carte your sound samples in from Neum. Like I could see that. Like I could see that integration, right? But this is obviously this is down the road. But yes, Justin, to answer your question, yeah.
That'd be
for
awesome.
Cardano Sounds, it's open source and decentralized, so like anybody can do whatever they want with them, with whatever part there is out. So I mean, that's my stance there. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. I'm going to say one other thing to everybody. I want to be very clear about managing expectations from people in the space. If you've still hung around, I see about 8 of you on here. We'll see how many this gets out to, but like the tech is getting there. It's not there yet, and anybody that tells you it's there is lying to you. I'm just going to say it out front. They're hyping it up. They're feeding you a bunch of crap. It's gonna get there, but Ada, we don't have our scaling going yet. Like I don't want millions of people on this blockchain right now. I'll just be frank. Like I don't want it. I'm happy with just the amount we have. Let's wait until August, October when Hydra is in further implementation and we're cooking, right? But we are not ready for mass adoption yet. We're just not. And no chain is, as far as I'm concerned. High TPS is not the solution because you're literally trading off, right, security features for a convenience factor, and that's not the Cardano way. That's not their ethos. And I think all of us who are here trying to build on this chain, we would fall under that ethos of let's measure twice, cut once, right? Not the other way around. So, I just want people to realize that you're getting to see the nuts and bolts of things as they're going from conception to the real world application, right? And that there's a lot of time in between there. So like for us, our minting platform, that's going to be Q2, like the beginning of Q2. That's a big freaking deal. And there's a lot that goes into on that sprint. That's a multiple sprints, right? But these projects people need to realize what's a realistic timeline, what should they expect from the space right now, and where they should really plan for that trajectory to go. And I want to say one more thing, and I'm going to step off my soapbox and be quiet. People need to be very cautious what they invest in. And we as musicians need to be extremely upfront when we're minting NFTs, audio NFTs. We are minting serialized releases. And we are also releasing really expensive receipts of purchase. Let's just be frank for a second, right? When you're releasing a CNFT, which I guess the now colloquial is now, it's just NFTs on Cardano, no CNFT anymore. So like if somebody spends 30 ADA on an album, right? Like you need to realize what that is that you actually just bought, right? They could have minted 1,000 of them. You just bought one of 1,000 CDs, right? And you have a really expensive receipt that you can go and redeem for something. And I just want everybody to be real with also saying, we can already do that with the traditional system right now. I can go download a coupon app and buy and get coupons that give me weird special things that I can use with a centralized system, right? And so I just want people to just be upfront with people who are purchasing our stuff and going, hey, this is what this is right now. Now, this is going to have more use and utility one day, but right now, this is what you're buying. And if you're okay with that, great. But, people that are painting these random weird pictures in the pie in the sky, oh, this is so revolutionary. I want to push back against that a little bit. Again, of managing expectations of where we're at in the space. That's my soapbox. I'm off of it now. Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to just give my ending note because I need to go for a pizza and I feel like we will be ending anyway soon. So, yeah, I wanted just to say why I'm building something like this. And I'm not like musician per trade. I'm software engineer. That's what I like to do. I played bass guitar for a while in the past, but only for a short while. But like I have twin sister who plays piano since we were kids. When I was learning programming, it was in studio with guys who were learning to do music. So like I was always really close. Until now, I still have a lot of friends who do music. So like I really see all the time that goes into that, and now even more after like playing with all those tools I'm maybe trying to make and get inspired by. And when you play with those, you spend a lot of time just to make simple tune, like because you feel like if I move this, it will be a little bit better. And that's the same like also with coding, but I see that it is like a lot of time, and my personal kind of belief is that people should do what they what they like to do, and do their best at it, and like society or systems should allow them doing just that. And that's what I hope Cardinal Sounds will kind of allow, just doing their niche and spreading it in decentralized manner. And thank you all for like this meeting. I hope we will meet again and talk again, and I just need to leave it now.
DZ, thank you so much for your contribution, and I'm super excited. I mean, I kind of view what you're doing as also kind of like Lego blocks for music creation, and I think that's a wonderful contribution to the space, to be frank, because I think it's awesome, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate your comments, your positive comment on my thing, because you are even longer time in either than me, and not many people are basically building things longer than since CNFT inception. So yeah, I will leave you all, and maybe I will come back. But yeah.
Thanks so much, man. We appreciate you. All right, guys. I think we're up on. That's actually a pretty good point. How long have we been going? I have no idea. I think it's been
almost 2 hours.
Holy cow! Okay, are y'all tired or sleepy? I feel like we're probably getting at a good place of wrap up, unless we. Oh, he has coffee. I see you.
Starbucks crack. Excuse my language.
Does anybody else have any questions or any comments or anything like that? We're looking at the chat real quick, and this I wish. He was right back, because I think somebody asked, how are samples cleared and what's the vetting process for uploads? How would you know someone is not uploading a leak? I can tell you, for us, there is open source tech, I think through Google, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on this, Andrew, I apologize. There's some type of open source that you can use for to vet audio files. They have signatures, right? It's almost like a fingerprint that you can put it against a database to show. So yes, and the great thing about having a DAO is if you have an issue, then you can always petition the DAO, and well, we can have a vote on things, and take care of it.
Yeah, and I just want to thank everyone again. I really do. This was actually really awesome, really informative for me to get to just know you, Ryan, a little bit more, and just the project Noom, and Andrew, Irie, thank you so much. Stemi, thanks for being here. Session, thank you so much for being here, and Andrew down there as well. If we can, I mean, I'd almost love to do this like maybe once a month or something, like no pressure, like maybe not like every week, because that's too tough and tight maybe. But I think if we can maybe like do this once a month, I think that'd be really just dope for the whole community at large, just to, kind of just have our resource of our discussions, and know, because I know that maybe this forum was able to answer a lot of similar questions that maybe some other folks might have had or were wondering about the space as a whole. So I'm not attached to any of my ideas as well. I just, just tell me shut the F up, Justin, or just,
shout out to you guys too, man. Kid Juice, because keeping creating this music community on Cardano is very valuable. So I applaud you guys and cheer you guys on. That's why I'm here. So next time you got one, I'm there for sure.
Well, yeah, man. Just know that I don't know just know if it's official. I don't think about Cardano community and music without thinking about Session Cruise, my brother. You know what I'm saying? So I had to bring you in. You know what I'm saying? Like it's automatic. Just know that, bro.
And if I may, I just like thank you everyone for being here. And I think I just want to draw it back to like our initial intention of creating this chat and this conference of all of us, because, you know, we're not just cultivating this community for no reason. We want to be able to leverage all of us equally. And in doing so, we do have some things happening on the back end. We've been able to sort out our Discord where artists can come in and identify what role they want to play. Shout out to Skies. And we want to continue to move that forward. We have things that we're planning from the artist perspective as far as like production workshops, engineering workshops, like again, tying it back to that education piece. But I think one thing we can do with each of you, and we can look forward to potentially partnering in, is just continuing this conversation, maybe having our own little session with Project NewM, or, you know, and maybe even putting individual spaces and time so that we can discuss and give everyone their equal spotlight. But again, we all are working on projects that are equally going to help be huge instruments in this. To Ryan's point, it's still the point of conception, but as we build a community, I think what we can all agree on is it's going to require a culture shift. Right? That's really what we're getting at here. People who are Web3 and deep in the matrix like us, like we get it, we see the value, and we can talk shit all day, which is what we do, you know what I mean? But everyone else who's still transitioning, like we want to try and make that an open dialogue. And a lot of the times that does, you know, take putting ABCs to this. So there's probably plenty that went over people's head that may have been watching. And if we can kind of cultivate a space where we can break it down, I just want to plant that seed so that you guys can anticipate hearing more from us and hopefully coming on.
I'm 40 years old, and so I don't rap no more, but I used to at the time when the internet was doing the same thing that's happening right now. So I know what's up. I've seen it already, and I'm not gonna miss it again, you know, straight up. And so yeah, just wanted to say that.
Guys, I feel like we're getting to a really good closing place. Justin, to your point, I can send you all calendar invite later if y'all want to, in our message, just shoot me your emails. I'll send you a Gmail invite, and we can do this for a monthly thing. I think that's super important. We have Irie, to your point, I think we have a responsibility to help craft the new narrative before it's taken over by someone who's a little more nefarious, right? Or whatever entity that doesn't have that best interest in mind. And so I think collectively, I think this is good. And, you know, we can discuss certain aspects to talk about. Maybe next time we can keep a little bit more shorter format. I love doing the long format stuff, but, you know, keeping it to under 45 minutes for video, that way folks can, you know, consume it. And I think we can just honestly touch on certain pain points and then how we're finding solutions. It's been really great to meet some of you guys and to put some faces to the Twitter handles and the names. So it's always great being in the space. I tweeted this yesterday. I swear, guys, this is the best space that I've ever been a part of in this community. I've met the most high quality individuals in this space ever. And it's changed my life forever for the better. So thank you.
I agree.
And DC is back with the pizza. I love it. Okay, guys, I think we're gonna call it unless anybody else has any other shout outs or anything else. You guys make sure if you're at home listening, go and follow these people, please, on Twitter. Follow their social media channels. If you have questions, ask them. Shoot us DMs. I think we want to be asked questions and we want to have dialogue. If you have concerns, comments, let us know, because now is the time to do that. So as we're building, you know, we can account for those, not after the fact. I know somebody mentioned a Twitter space. I think that'd be great to do that too. Yeah, anyways, that's all I got to say. Thank you all so much for your time. It's been great to be amongst you thought leaders in the space.
No, definitely.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.